Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Janet Cresson. I'm filling in this week for Justin Riley. We'll start off our conversation today talking about the world of dance and all that it has to offer our kids. And who better to talk to us about this than Wisconsin's own Jo Jean Rettrum of Monona Academy of Dance.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me today, Jo Jean.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So I was looking a little bit online about the history, and it's a very interesting history. So share with our viewers a glimpse into the history of Monona Academy of Dance.
Well, it was founded by my mother, and actually it was first called Jean's School of Dance, and she started it in 1949 in New Glarus and taught in Mont Horeb, and we were living in Blanchardville on a farm at the time. So she just traveled around, and then we ended up in Madison in about 1976 after I graduated from college, and we opened up the school up here, and we've just been teaching young children for many, 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 many years.
That's over 30 years you've been touching the lives of kids and making a difference. That's really amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A really neat story. Let's talk about the focus of your school. Obviously, you're teaching dance, but there's so much more to it than that.
Right. I mean, our focus is really ballet because it's the foundation of dance, but we teach all styles of dance because as a performer, because I perform with Milwaukee Ballet and I also did professional work at Melody Top Theater in Milwaukee, you have to know all forms of dance. So we do musical theater, we do some singing, we do tap dancing, everything that you need to do as a dancer.
Very neat. And why do you think performing is so important?
Well, it's the performing part of it brings out your personality. You don't want to just do, you need good technique, and that's very important, but you also have to show the love of dance and the excitement and watching the children just light up when they hear the music and start moving. And you only get that by doing different performances. So the younger children only perform, in our recital. But then our older dancers, we have a competitive team, and then we also have a nonprofit dance company with our school, and we do 3 different performances during the year. We have a fall concert that we work on new choreography, and we do a Nutcracker, and then this spring we're doing Alice in Wonderland. So.
That's really interesting when you're talking about expressing the dance. It made me think of when someone plays music. You can just go through the technique, or you can really feel the music.
Right.
And that sounds like a real similar thing.
Yeah.
Plus, these kids are learning, I know it's kind of a cliche, but the poise of carrying themselves, presenting themselves, and those are skills they're going to take with them the rest of their life.
Right, and the discipline, there's so much need for, discipline.
Yeah, that's going to help them be successful as an adult, we hope, right? Sports. Kids are involved with a lot of sports these days. Do you see similarities between sports and ballet?
Well, yes, because like any sports, athlete, they have to perform and work out every day. Dancers the same way. You have to have a warm-up. You have to do class every day. And then they have their game, and we have our performances. So it's really works well together. And I have a lot of guys that have danced, and they've even given up sports to dance. So,
a difference I will say, I think, is with a dancer, you don't see that stress and effort. It seems so effortless.
Right.
Yeah. And I bet you've seen some professional dancers come out of your school. Is that true?
Had many, many professionals. They perform on Broadway and ballet companies in Las Vegas and in California. But my most famous dancer is Ethan Stiefel. He was a principal dancer with American Ballet Theatre. He was star of the movie Center Stage. And then he directed his own company in New Zealand. It was very exciting. I got to go up and see his company.
Oh my goodness.
It's really rewarding.
Sure. I'm sure your heart just swells with pride with all of the kids that you impact, whether or not they go pro or not.
And many of them come back and just, really appreciate and love their time at the studio.
We're almost out of time. Real quickly, why do you think a parent should check out your school versus some of the others?
Well, we really love kids, and we love to teach them the love of dance. We teach them good technique, which is really important, but the most important thing is to enjoy it. And that's why you should come and check out our school.
Great. Well, thank you for your time,
Thank
Georgine.
you very much.
Pleasure meeting you, the Monona Academy of Dance. And we will be right back. We'll be with a Madisonian who fell in love with an idea of New York City and brought it back to our very own State Street here in Madison. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Our next guest went to New York City, fell in love with an idea, and brought it back to our very own Madison State Street. With me, I have Taylor Beebe of Mad City Frites. Thanks for coming in, Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you again. Taylor was also on Girl Talk, so you may have already met her. So let's talk about that New York City adventure and what you discovered.
Yep, so it was always my plan to be involved in food at some point in my life. I wanted to go to culinary school right out of high school, but I ended up having the opportunity to play volleyball at St. Cloud State. So went and did that, and then while I was in school, went to New York City, fell in love with pommes frites and French fries, and decided to bring it back to Madison.
These are glamorous French fries.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. It's a mobile food. It's a popular thing. I've heard that the lines out the door at pommes frites are a regular thing.
Yeah, it is. It's great. I mean, being right on State Street, it's perfect to just grab and go while you're shopping or, doing whatever else. And then late night, we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday till 3 a.m. So that crowd also keeps us pretty busy.
So you've opened this place. That's a big challenge. There's a lot of things involved with that. What do you think has been your biggest challenge in getting started?
Honestly, just getting open was one of the hardest things. Sorting through all the paperwork, all the legal side of things.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be much easier to just kind of pop open, but it's
Hang
not
up.
the case. Yeah.
Put a sign and
Yeah. If you build it, they will come, but you also need the permit.
So you got yourself open, you have food, you have sauces, you have a great logo. It's very cute. I love
Thank
that.
you.
The presentation of the food, and what are you most proud of?
Kind of everything.
Yeah, how do you pick one?
Yeah, it's hard to. It really is hard to. And every day you have little wins, but just seeing everything, recognizing that it's all so cohesive and it just kind of came together is all incredible.
I imagine there's that satisfaction in seeing people come in and buy your frites and enjoy them and that kind of thing.
It's awesome. The young families that come in on Fridays and Saturdays, and the kids play Operation or Boggle, and the parents hang out. And
Oh, you have games there?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's fun. I enjoy it a lot.
So you mentioned 3 a.m., and I did see that your hours are until 3 a.m. on
Yes.
many days. So what's a typical day like for you? Because
It's very different. It's very different, yeah. So, if I'm working until 3 in the morning, it could be unclogging a toilet, it could be a million other things, but every day is very different, and that's one of the things that, drew me to, opening my own business, is every day is so different.
Yeah, that does help keep it interesting and humble. Maybe keeps you humble.
It does. It absolutely does.
So looking ahead, 5 years, 10 years, what are you seeing for yourself?
Just getting through this football season, I think, is
Yeah.
what it comes down to. Getting through the fall and seeing what that's going to look like and what Freak Fest is going to look like this year, and going from there.
It will be your first football season. I think that's going to be just a great food. Like I said, it's mobile. You can just grab your little cone of fries and take a walk down State Street if you like.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. So you've got the fries, you've got the sauce. Are you planning on adding anything?
Not at the moment, no. We do specials occasionally, and sauce of the week, and we had milkshakes this past weekend for the Pride Parade, and
Just a special kind of thing?
yeah, just little things like that, just to kind of mix it up every once in a while. But just sticking with frites.
You had mentioned a liquor license last time we spoke. You still thinking about that?
Yes, I am. So I have my ALRC meeting on the 19th. So we'll see what happens there.
Okay, great. Good luck. And now tell me, I saw that your mom's been helping you. Should we give Mom a little bit of a shout out?
Yes, we should. Thanks, Mom. So she was great, when we first opened that very first day, that I've talked about so many different times, is she was an absolute champ. At 60, I don't think she'd ever be frying French fries and, ringing up customers, but she's incredible.
Yeah, she was kind of like the front lines while
She
you were
was,
in the back.
absolutely. Absolutely, she was. So.
You were in the back sweating it out
Yes.
over the fries.
Yes.
So you may want to check out Mad City Frites. They're on State Street. This is Taylor Beebe. She's the owner. She opened this up. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me today and sharing your story.
Thank you.
We all have smartphones these days, getting smart cars. We'll be talking about smart homes right after the break. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Well, these days a lot of us have smartphones, and some of us are even getting smart cars and starting to move into smart homes. With me today I have Adam Crandall. He's the general manager over at Quigley Smart. We'll be talking about some of those smart home ideas and even more. Thanks for joining me today, Adam. Appreciate you coming in. So let's talk about what's trending today in heating and air conditioning. What's new and what's going on with those systems today?
It's all about personalizing it to your own needs and your wants. Smartphones controlling our temperature, systems learning your habits. It's all about indoor comfort. It's all about being as comfortable in your home as you can.
That's a pretty neat thing, and it is becoming more and more popular. Let's talk about efficiency. That's a trending thing that I see more and more systems talking about.
A lot in today's market, there are so many efficient units, and we're to a point where we're plateauing on our efficiency, and at 95, 96, 98% efficient, the high SEER values on the air conditioners, it's really about picking a system that suits your needs, your lifestyle, the type of home that you have, and what you want in filtration and that sort of thing.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is that all of the systems are pretty good at being efficient, so now we can start thinking about what's right for us and
Right.
our home. You mentioned filtration. That's another thing that people are becoming more and more aware of. Talk to me a little bit about air filtration.
Filtration, just like the whole industry, has gone a long ways. And it's, when you're looking at a filtration system, really important to pick one that suits your needs, not to necessarily overbuy, because it can get a lot more complicated. A nice filtration system that's going to pull out the contaminants, a nice system that's going to circulate the air. It doesn't have to be as complicated as people make it. Just find something that is going to suit what area that you want to achieve and let it be.
Are some of those parameters then like the layout of the home, whether you have pets, children, use air conditioning or open windows, things like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Pets, allergies, respiratory problems. There's so many products out there that can solve people's individual issues, and not one system is perfect for all of them.
Okay.
Just like picking a system, you have to find the filtration system that's going to suit what you want and go from there.
So that's going to take a little bit of homework, but you can help folks with
Oh,
that sort of thing. That's what
absolutely.
you do. So if someone is thinking about this, they are purchasing, how do you advise getting started and going about that?
I think the key is to find out what your needs are, not just today, because the system's going to last for 20 years. What do you think your needs are going to be in 10 years? If you're at retirement age, as we get older, our heating and cooling needs change. Our filtration needs change to be able to control the humidity. So think about not just trying to replace your system that you've had for 20 years. Try to think about what do you want to have happen? What do you want your house to be like when you're 75 years old, when the system's half used up?
I have to say, you're really making this a more personal thing than I ever really thought of. I figure you pick out a furnace that's in your price range and you're kind of done. That's really interesting.
Well, that's the new age of heating and air conditioning.
I'm learning. What about getting ready for winter? It's not too early to start thinking about that, I suppose.
No, we just we recommend to people that you make sure you change your filter. If you haven't had your system serviced by a qualified technician, by all means, make an appointment. Make it early, because businesses get very busy as it gets cold.
I suppose.
Have them just check everything out. Make sure that the safety features that are incorporated with the furnace are operating properly. The venting is clear and not giving issues there. Just so that when it's 10 below on the coldest day of the year on a Saturday night, that your system doesn't go out and you're left hanging.
Oh, a little bit of peace of mind in having that appointment made. All righty. Well, how do folks find you if they want to chat with you about any of this?
We have two locations, one in Beloit, and our phone number is 365-6688, and our location in Janesville is 756-4207. We have 24-hour service, open 5 days a week. Any questions, just give us a call and we can try to help you with your needs.
Great. Well, thank you, Adam, for coming in. That was actually quite interesting, talking about air conditioning and furnaces. Thanks
right.
again. We'll be right back with some back-to-school tips on getting your kids into the swing of things. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Summertime for kids usually means later mornings, later bedtimes, lack of routine, but with school doors opening anytime soon now, a little bit of routine is probably necessary. And with us, we have our guest who's going to help us come up with some ideas and tips on getting those routines started for school. Thank you for joining me. This is Vicki McCarthy from the Madison Community Montessori School.
Hi. Hi.
Long name.
Yes. Thanks for having me this morning.
You bet. So school is just around the corner, and how do families get started in establishing those much needed routines?
I know. The thing is, it happens so fast. You know, summer just goes by so quickly, and all of a sudden school's here before you know it. So the very first thing to do is just keep in mind the calendar, because there aren't a lot of days left before school starts. And there are likely back-to-school paperwork forms that need to be filled out and completed and submitted, doctor's appointments that need to be squeezed in yet, and school shopping that needs to be done. So there's a lot to do in preparation for school, and there's not a lot of time to do it. So you just want to be watchful of the calendar.
You're right. I hadn't even thought about, obviously I don't have kids, but yeah, all those other little prep things aside from getting a new routine started.
Right.
So getting into the children themselves, how can we help them be ready while we still have some time?
Right. So the first thing to do, like you were talking about a little bit earlier at the start of the show, is just getting them, making sure they get enough sleep. So oftentimes they're sleeping in the summer days, and then they're maybe lounging around in their pajamas in the morning. And so it's really great to start now while we have a couple of weeks yet, and start their morning routine, you know, just maybe having them wake up 10 or 15 minutes earlier every day until you get to that targeted wake up time for the school day rhythm. And now you can also practice having them get dressed and eat breakfast right away when they wake up, instead of taking that sort of long, leisurely approach to the day. And then on the flip side, you want to do the same thing with the evening routine. You want to start looking at their bedtime and making sure that they're getting enough sleep for a long day at school. It's a lot of work for them once they're in school, and their brains are so busy at working. They're working so hard, so you want to make sure they're getting enough sleep. And it's easier to adjust bedtimes by 10 or 15 minutes a night than to do it all in one fell swoop the night before school starts.
Yeah, doing it in a gradual manner makes more sense instead of this abrupt change. But once it's set, boy, that's going to make a big difference, isn't it?
Sleep is so important for kids, so it is
is
really an important piece.
And getting to bed a little earlier is going to help those early mornings too.
It's true.
And we are losing daylight. That might help get to bed a little bit earlier. What else can parents do to help their kids prepare?
Right. Well, I think really if you just think about fostering your child's growing sense of independence, that's the best place to start. And so if you're looking at a preschooler who's about to head off to school for the first time, there are a couple of things that you might want to start doing. You want to look at the clothing that you've chosen for your child, and then have him select his outfit for the day that's something that he can really put on and take off by himself, in case there's an accident or some mud and dirt that he gets into on the playground, or some paint or something. You want to make sure that he's really able to change his clothes on his own when he's at school. The second thing is you want to make sure that they're walking into school on their own, which will really reinforce his growing sense of independence. And carrying his own backpack and lunchbox when he's going to school is another really important thing to do. And that also helps him learn that he's responsible for those things. And then another thing just to keep in mind is when you're packing lunches together, you want to make sure that everything is packed in a container that he can open on his own when he's at school. Again, trying to reinforce his growing sense of independence and really allowing him to be able to do all of those things once he gets to school on his own. It'll make him feel really good.
Those are all really great tips. I love that idea of fostering a little bit of independence, starting out young. That's something that's going to help them for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And
It's
get
true.
them off to a good start. So those are the little ones. What about our teens and tweens?
Right. So if you have an older child, definitely by the time a child is starting first grade, you want them to actually be packing their lunch on their own. So she's going to be really able to make all of those choices and pack her lunch on her own. And the benefit of that is not only the independence of doing that task on her own, but then also once she's at school, we find that children who've packed their own lunches eat their own lunches.
Oh,
And
interesting.
food is so important when they're working so hard during the school day. They need to make sure that they're getting a well-balanced meal. And so if they're packing their own lunch, that tends to happen, that they eat their full lunch.
That's another skill we'll need the rest of our lives.
True. It's true. So packing their own lunch and An older child, you want to start encouraging them to use a planner. So upper elementary, certainly by middle school, they want to be using a planner for school. And then when an elementary child is coming home with that backpack and it's usually filled with that important paperwork from school or permission slips, or maybe the child just needs a place to do homework, that you want to have a spot designated in your home for those things, the backpack, the important paperwork, and a place for him to do his homework, so that it's all really structured and built into his routine.
Boy, the more structure you can get, some routine, boy, that takes the stress out for not just the child, but the parents as
Right.
well, and the
It's
whole
true.
household. I'm afraid we're out of time.
Okay.
So much good stuff to talk about. Those were all really great tips and suggestions. Thank you. This is Vicki McCarthy. You're the head of school over at Madison Community Montessori, one of our news partners. Thank you for coming in today.
You're welcome.
And thank you to all of our guests for coming in. And thank you for watching Talk of the Town. We'll see you next time on the CW57.